Welcome into week 5 of the Jackson Post West Tennessee High School Football Pick'em contest. A lot of people are excited this week. After a 1-week absence, I'm back in first place. The world is right again. A lot of people are excited about that. Tony couldn't handle the pressure and caved. So here we are. What's the score, Tony? It's 44 to 43 to 40. I have 44 correct picks. You have 43, and Brandon's got 40.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, well, you got a lot of games
Very
tonight.
slim margin there. One game is not much to brag about, buddy.
It's the multiple weeks that impress people, Tony.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. We've got 15 games tonight to pick. 15 games. The first one, Houston County, which I had to look up. Brandon, anybody besides Brandon, do you know what Houston County's mascot is, Tony?
The Fighting Irish?
Fighting Irish is correct. I didn't know if that would make your decision on this pick. They come in at 3-1. This is a Region 6A matchup going into West Carroll. West Carroll is my favorite team to pick, and so far this year they've treated me pretty well. They're 3-1. They're going into Atwood. Pick first here. I looked up Houston County. Know anything about any of the teams that they beat? This is purely an emotion pick. I'm going with West Carroll. Now, West Carroll's got a running back who is on his way to being Mr. Football. He's like 1,200 yards so far in 4 games. I mean, he's killing it. So I'm going with West Carroll here.
I guess I'm next.
Yeah, you're next.
Tony would be next. No, Tony would be next. He'd be in second.
Okay.
Oh, okay. We're going to, all right. I've always done me, Chuck, Brandon on my board, but that's fine. You're right, dude. Milton is his name. He's got 17 touchdowns. He's averaging 314 yards a game for West Carroll. Number 1 is his number. I actually watched some video on them earlier. This is a pretty tight matchup. I looked into Houston County, looked at some records, previous scores. The defense for West Carroll's not that good. They're giving up a lot of points, and Houston's actually plays defense, it appears, on their schedule, even though neither team has played a difficult schedule. I'm actually going to go with Houston here. I think that they're gonna be able to pass the ball and slow down this good running back because they actually play defense.
You're going Houston County, so already we've got some disagreement. Brandon, you'll be the tiebreaker here. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and go with West Carroll, but this is an iffy pick because there are 47 teams that I keep track of stats in rural West Tennessee. And while West Carroll is 3-1 and the running back is an awesome player and they're averaging 42 points per game, they have the second worst opposition win-loss record.
Only behind Westview.
Right. And so their opponents so far are 3-11. Their opponents right now have as many wins as Houston County does going into this game. But I doubt that Houston County has played anybody as tough as West Carroll's running back. So I think I'm going to take the War Eagles with and they ride that back to a win. But I think it won't be 42-7. It'll be something more like a 42-36 type game.
Moving into Region 7 1A. And boy, just a couple of years ago, we wouldn't have had this pick this week. Dresden coming in at 0-4. To Humboldt, a 2-2 Vikings team. Honey, you're going to be up first here. Humboldt hosting this. If this were just a couple of years ago, you'd say, okay, we're not going to put this on there because everybody's going to pick Dresden. Not the case this year. Dresden, a young team. I did talk to some people who are some Lions fans, a young team. Their coach left. You got a new coach, so sometimes, those transitions take some time. But going into a 2-2 Vikings team, Hoff, what are you thinking?
I mean, like you're right. It's not the same team as last year. This last year's team lost 1 game. They were pretty impressive. Now the schedule this year has been difficult, so I'm not sure too many teams would do as well with that schedule. Humboldt's kind of. I mean, I don't know. They didn't win me last week. I think I missed that game, so I'm going with Dresden. I think Dresden's going to pull this out. They're hungry for a victory kind of like my Kentucky Wildcats will be this week in football.
You're up next.
At some point, Dresden has to win a game, right? I mean, I think my first year here in 2008, I think they did go 0-10, but but since then 3 years later, they were playing for the state championship against Friendship Christian, in Cookeville, and ever since then they've been at least average. And like you said, I mean they've played a tough competition, and I'm guessing at an 875 winning percentage, they are tied with Chester County for the toughest record so far as in Union City as well. Yeah. In my other picks contest over the last few years on the radio 93.7, Humboldt has a history of breaking my heart. They did it last week when I picked them over Greenfield. I don't know. My gut is telling me to take Humboldt. It could be that I've eaten a lot of stuff today and it's just overactive right now. But give me the Vikings, I guess.
Oh, going Humboldt. Yeah, I'm going Lions. I mean, right? You've got to go Dresden Lions here. They're not going 0-5. I'm going with the Lions.
You can go either way.
I thought you were going to go Dresden at first when you started talking. I'd already wrote it down.
I was, but the gut has spoken.
Just changed, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
With Humboldt. Tried to tell y'all last week. Greenfield, who I did pick last week against Humboldt in 7-1A, they are hosting Gleason. Both teams 3-1. Brandon, I think you're up first here.
Yeah, 3-1. Gleason scoring more, but after taking that drumming to Union City last week, they are also allowing considerably more points. And even with playing Union City at 2-2, they're not really helping them in the opposing record. Good grief. Greenfield, why'd you have to have that stupid 41-0 loss to Halls? That's what's throwing me off on this one. Otherwise, I'd just go with Greenfield. Give me the Jackets. That's Greenfield. Yeah.
I noticed Tony wasn't writing. I was like, that's Greenfield.
I did not remember what they were. All I remember is the Wimpy Burger.
Okay.
And you got to slow down.
This one, Greenfield, from last week against Humboldt. I'm going to pick them again here. It's Gleason. Although I did look Gleason up, and they have, like you said, they've been exciting offensively so far this year, with the exception of that Union City game last week. But the Yellow Jackets too. Give me Greenfield.
I tell you what, guys, not so fast. Gleason's going to win this. They've already won one for me. Mark it down. Gleason's going to beat Greenfield.
Gleason what, Tony?
I don't know what they are. I have no idea. They both start with a G.
Moving on here, Hall's coming in at 4-0, and Hall's, like you said, Brandon, you alluded to that 41-0 shutout win against Greenfield, going to a 2-2 Lake County team. I go first here. You would think, okay, Hall's is undefeated. Lake County's 500. They're 500 in the region. Hall's is 2-0 in the region. You think this would be an easy Hall's pick. And I'm going to pick Hall's, but I don't like this. I don't like picking against Lake County. Lake County's a tough team. Played well. They played good competition. I missed on them earlier in the year picking against them. I don't like anything about this pick, but I am going with Hall's.
This was a tough one. I like Lake County, but every time I pick them, I'm picking the wrong games. I think I've lost twice with Lake County this year. I know at least once. Hall's is definitely a lot better than they've ever been. So I don't know what it is up there. I haven't been able to watch much film, but my gut says I'll go with Hall's. So I'm also going with them.
Yeah, I'm going to take Halls too. I don't know if Lake County could come in this week and beat them by 3 touchdowns, but going into this game, Halls is averaging 41.5 points per game, and they're averaging giving up 7 points per game. So they're scoring a lot. The defense is working. And yes, Lake County probably is going to be their toughest opponent to date so far. But they're scoring enough and they're playing defense well enough that they should be able to beat Lake County. It just may be considerably closer than, say, that Greenfield game or whatever.
Stay in Region 7, 1A. Holf, you're up next. I'm really glad. This is the hardest one we've picked so far. South Fulton, 3-0 in the region, playing host to Union City, who comes in at 2-2, 1-0 region. Union City kind of took it on the nose to USJ. And who else got Union City? I can't think of the other loss right now. Who else beat Union City earlier in the year, Brandon? Beat by USJ. 2. Remember the other loss. I can look it up.
I can't either.
This is a tough.
They've had a tough schedule, though. I mean, that's
They have.
not. They're not playing cupcakes.
Our county.
County, yeah, and
That's right.
no shame losing to Dyer County. I think Dyer County is one of the best teams around here. This is a hard one for me.
It is a hard one.
I don't like anything about this pick. I'm going to go, and Tony's up.
I'm up. Yeah.
Good.
So yeah, it's a hard pick because I think this year the teams are more even than they were last year. Last year the score actually was 54-0 Union City. I don't think that's going to happen this year, but I do think Union City is going to win this game. It'll be closer than 54-0.
Union City's going to roll through this region, and they're going to look like they were good enough to beat USJ in Dyer County. I mean, like Tony said, I don't know if it'll be 54-0, but I don't think it'll be that far off. I mean, Gleason, how good was Gleason playing? They beat them 35-0 last week. Until somebody can knock Union City off in this region, Union City is the class of this region, and to be the man, you got to beat the man. And I don't think anybody's going to beat the man this week either.
Woo! South Fulton had 2 big wins. They're 4-0 in the season. 2 of those wins are against Kentucky schools, but 49-46 shootout against Tipton Rosemark and a 28-20 win last week against Lake County. I'm going with Union City too. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I mean, you remember, was it Jackson Christian beat USJ last year by 40-some-odd points, and we saw what happened last Friday night. So, I mean, it can change that quick in a year. It's close. I think it's a much closer game, but I am going with Union City as well.
All right, Brandon, you got the next one.
This is Region 6, 2A.
My Cougars going to Milan.
Both teams undefeated.
Both teams are undefeated, and JCM had the week off.
That Coach Turner, Turner had a video game party, like rented a van or whatever, and they set up video games with screens and stuff for the bye week. I thought that was a cool idea for JCM.
Yeah, that
Cool.
was. I like the different things that Coach Turner and really everyone at JCM are kind of doing, just kind of keep moods livened there during times when they might not. I'm going to take JCM in this one. And here's why. They've got this week off. So that's either going to help them or hurt them. It could help them in that they heal up from any injuries that they had coming out of Camden 2 weeks ago. It could hurt them in that it gets them out of their routine of the weekly grind of football season. I mean, we got some coaches that hate bye weeks. But this team's been playing together. This team seems to have turned a corner as a program, and they're competing better. Plus, a year ago, when they had not turned a corner, when they were not playing better, they were still good enough to be to lead this Milan team for most of the first half, 14-0. So I'm going to say that JCM has turned a corner, and if they go up 14-0, they're good enough now to hold on to that that lead. If they're not able to jump out to that lead, Coach Turner and his coaching staff showed at that Camden game when they held Camden scoreless in the second half that they can make adjustments and keep teams from scoring after intermission. Give me the Cougars in possibly the biggest upset, at least the biggest upset pick I've had all season.
Be an upset. I think I would tell you it's a little different this year's Milan team than last year. It's Coach Comer. They bought in, and they bought in quick. Milan looks good. I love JCM. I want them to do well. A lot of my friends in high school went to JCM. Love everything that they're doing, but this is a tall ask. Milan, top 5-10 team in all of West Tennessee outside of Memphis. Give me the Bulldogs here.
Well, so I'm
You went to JCM.
man. I'm a '96 alumni of JCM, and I'm so proud of what Coach Turner's done with JCM. It's incredible for them to be where they are and actually have the editor of the Jackson Sun pick 'em, or Jackson Post. I'm sorry,
Thank you.
used to be Jackson Sun. My
Do
heart
you love
wants
your
to.
school, Tony, and the
My,
constituents of Madison County?
well, my heart wants to pick JCM. It really does, but my brain says no. You know, Brandon made some good points. But I just don't know if
Into Camden
JCM's
played well.
ready. I don't think JCM's ready to win this game. I don't think they're ready yet. I think that they need a loss to kind of refocus them for the year. I don't know. I just don't know if it's. I think this was late in the season, and there were some injuries on Milan. It would be easier, but I don't think either squad has any major injuries or anything that would cause them to not have problems. So I've got to go with Milan. I think the line would be like a 7 or 8 points on this, and I just don't think JCM can overcome the fact that they would be the underdogs for sure if there was gambling involved.
Do either of y'all have Milan's schedule pulled up?
No, I don't.
Get to it very quickly here. Know that they opened the season with a close game, but a good game against South Gibson.
Right.
They won that. Let me slide down here. Click off of Coach T. It takes it a second to load back up.
I want to say they played a Memphis team in week 2, then it was Gibson County, and then it was Camden.
Right here, coming up now, Milan opened up 34-28 over South Gibson, 44-14 over Chester County, 54-0 against Gibson County, and 54-18 against Camden.
All right, so it was Chester County, not a Memphis team in week 2. I mean, this could be the best team this could be the best team that Milan's played so far.
Probably is. Besides
South
Gibson, maybe.
And South Gibson?
I remember we went into that game thinking, and everybody who knew anything about this thought Milan should win that one by 3 touchdowns. Not only did South Gibson's best player get hurt and he's out for the season, but South Gibson had a chance to tie in that game and possibly taking the lead in the last couple of minutes. So, I don't know. I guess I'm just not. As much as I love Coach Comer, he's got something to prove this week.
So, Tony, you are against the school that educated you. Am I correct in that? Did you make your official pick?
I mean, I'm not going against them. I just can't. I don't want to lose this.
You pretty much.
I want to win. I'm all about winning, just like they are. And I hope they win. But I also want to win this pick'em contest.
You were over there singing "Who Let the Dogs Out."
Wearing a
Well,
Coach
the
Comer
Bulldogs
t-shirt.
beat my Wildcats, so I can't go against the Bulldogs after that 13-12 matchup. So
Tony's going to show up for work Friday wearing a tie like Coach Comer wears at games.
I could totally see Tony doing that. I could totally
I have
see
a closing Friday. It would work. I can wear a tie to a closing.
Up next on the pick list, because we're moving into Region 7 3A. I'm
you are. Yeah.
Tech and 0-3, 0-1 in the region, traveling to Ripley, 3-1-1 in the region. This is one of the few games this week that I feel very confident about my pick about Ripley. I know Ripley's down for what Ripley is. This is Ripley here.
I would agree. Ripley's going to roll in this game. I feel sorry for Liberty that they just don't have the guys. They don't have the Jimmies and Joes. I don't think they're not going to be able to compete with the athletes that Ripley has and the depth, I believe, as well.
Y'all, Ripley is 1-3. The only difference that they got between them and Liberty is that Ripley can play a little bit of defense and keep the opposing team from scoring a ton of points. But yeah, I'm taking Ripley too. I thought there might be a chance one of y'all might take Liberty in this one. I will say I do plan on taking Liberty later in the year, but not this week.
If you pull up Ripley, their losses 16-11 to Southside, 23-14 to Crockett County, 38-21. That one got a little crazy against Bolivar. Of course, they beat McNairy 13-6 last week, but it's the loss.
Those are all really close games, except for one, really.
Right.
It's the
Yeah.
way that they've lost is made it relatively easy. Hoff, you're up next. This will be a good game. Bolivar 2-1 in the region, going to Covington 4-0, 2-0 region. You calling an upset here?
No, sir. Covington will stay undefeated and beat Bolivar. I didn't do much research here, but I immediately looked at that and went Covington all day by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering why I put this game on the list, because I'm taking Covington too. Last week, Bolivar had a chance to show that they could compete with the better teams in that region, and Dyersburg blanked them 36-0. Covington will probably beat them worse.
I think so too. Covington, I mean, you could not know much about. You could say, "Oh, I've been gone out of West Tennessee for a couple years," and then start doing a pick'em contest, and usually ride with Covington over the past 4 or 5 years and be in pretty good shape. Give me Covington here.
All right.
Brandon, you're up. We're going to Region 6, 4A, 3, Chester County. The lone win on the season, I believe, being that Week 1 win against CA, going to Southside. Short trip to Jackson Southside. Southside comes in 1-2. They have not played a region game yet. What are you thinking here?
So Southside should probably be 2-2 coming into this one. Their game with Liberty was canceled early in that one. They were up 7-0.
Yeah, we lost you for about 5 seconds.
Yeah, somebody was calling me there. Sorry about that. I am going to take Southside in this one, because Chester County has had a rough schedule. This will probably be one of their easier games, but I like how Southside's been playing, and maybe I'm just kind of riding the Madison County bandwagon a little too heavy this week. But it's time for something positive. It's time for something positive to happen for Southside, and I think it's going to happen this week against Chester County.
Look at these schedules, and I know they didn't play Liberty. They didn't get that Liberty game. But if you look at it, the best win on either schedule is Chester County's win against Trinity Week 1 here. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I'm going Chester County. I like Southside, and I really enjoyed. I watched the majority of that Southside JCM game, and Southside, they had the lead going into half and looked dominant early on. Really, the first half. Before halftime, I think JCM scored. They looked pretty dominant. But when I look at these two matchups, the best win, that win against Trinity, was a pretty good win for Chester County. Give me the Eagles here.
This is a tough game. Both these teams, a lot of these kids probably know each other pretty well. Southside, residents, and Chester County, they're right there next to each other. It's even. My guts wants me to pick Southside, but Chuck's right. I mean, Chester County's viably could win this game, and they beat TCA, who's no slouch of a team. I'm gonna go with the Hawks. I mean, I really think it. I kind of agree with Brandon. I had that down. I'm gonna stick with it. The Hawks are gonna pull out one at home because it's a home game for them. Correct?
Yeah, it is a home game.
Yeah. I think they're gonna pull out a close one. I think it'll be one of those low scoring 17-13 games.
As we move on here, this game, hard pick 2. Northside 3-1, 1-0 in the region, going all the way down to Savannah, Hardin County, who comes into this game 1-3. Hardin County on the season 17-14 win over Giles County. They lost to Memphis Business Academy, lost big to South Gibson 20-3. And lost last week to Memphis East 35-21. Who's up here?
You're up, Chuck.
Yeah.
Good. Tough. Northside on the season, 3-1, Wins big against Liberty, beat Obion County 35-21. Nice win against Lexington, 29-21. Had that really tough 2-point loss to Crockett County to open the season. Otherwise, you're talking 4-0. I think Northside's a better team here. I know they're traveling to Hardin County, and I know those fans down there by the river get a little crunk on a Friday night, enjoys high school football. But give me Northside here.
This is a tough matchup. I'm a little upset with Hardin County. It was 21-21. Bass said on the radio, and somehow they let that game against Memphis East get away with them. I'm not sure how. And Hardin County, I think I picked them twice this year, and I've lost both. So I'm done with Hardin County. We're going with the Indians here. I'm all Madison County except JCM this week for some reason, but I'm going with the Indians.
Yeah, I'm going to take Northside as well. Northside is just playing better. Last week I said that they wouldn't need late game heroics to get a win over Lexington. They didn't. Now they did need to hold off a comeback by Lexington there late, which they did. I think they kind of repeat that this week. They jump out ahead. I think maybe even they have a little better clock management right before halftime. Go up by maybe 3 scores into intermission, and then add a 4th score there before Hardin County tries to dig out of the hole, but the hole is too deep. Northside comes home with a win.
Okay.
Picking Northside. This next
Bless
one
you.
here, you're up next, and I'm glad. This next one here, 2 teams I know nothing about. Brighton in Region 8, 5A, big schools. 2-2, 1-0 in the region, going to Memphis Central, who is 3-1 and 1-0 region.
Well, why are we picking this game?
West Tennessee, Memphis. I mean, you're like everybody else who ever does.
I remember
like,
last year
Memphis is part
you
of
guys
West
got on me
Tennessee.
about some games. This is the one I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure.
Brighton is part of rural West Tennessee. We're including them. Shut up.
Well, I mean,
Like a Nashville legislator, not counting Memphis as part of Tennessee.
I mean, I have no problem with picking Memphis
You
games.
sound like TSSAA trying to forget that there is a Memphis.
Yeah, and have playoff games in northern Mississippi, right? Man, I don't know. This is like red and black and roulette for me. I'm gonna go with Memphis Central, and I have no idea why. That seems like they have a better tradition of winning. That's all, based on my memory.
Well, they're hosting for sure. They are hosting. Brandon, you're up next.
They're the home team too. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the home team. They're 3-1. These are. I'm trying to remember who else is in the region. I think Munford's in. Yeah, Munford's in the same region. Munford will probably win the region. This game is probably for second place in the region. That's the big reason why we're picking this game. It's a big game for Brighton. And I am going to take Brighton.
Can Brighton take the Cardinals? Okay.
Yeah, because they took one on the chin first 2 weeks of the season. They took a couple on the chin, but they bounced.
County got them 49-13, and then Covington got them 36-0.
But they've come back each of the last 2 weeks. They won 48-0. They're playing good football right now. Now those those 2 opponents, for all I know, could be Madonna Middle School, and my pick may get put in its place this week. But when you outscored the last 2 opponents 96-0, that's playing good ball. So I'm going to pick them to ride. Let it ride.
It's a good sign.
Central has won the last 2 games, 55-0 against Craigmont, 45-0 against Memphis Overton. They beat a team from Mississippi 28-6, Senatobia, Mississippi. Because Mississippi football is usually so good, I don't think Senatobia, Mississippi football maybe not the best. I'm going to go with Memphis Central here. Also, some strategery, so Tony and I don't have too many different picks now that I have the lead. Give me Memphis Central as well.
Did you say they'd beaten Craigmont and Ridgeway?
Yeah. Memphis Overton, they beat Senatobia 28-6. They lost to Whitehaven 34-0. That's not the end of the world. Senatobia, Mississippi 28-6, beat Craigmont 55-0, and Memphis Overton 45-0.
All right, so Overton and Craigmont have a combined record of 2-5. So, not exactly world beaters over there.
I'm going with Central. I'm going with Central. A little bit of strategy there. We move in to our non-region games. This will be a fun game. Crockett County, 4-0. Big wins at Lexington, Northside. Crockett played Southside yet? I don't know if they played Southside yet.
Yeah, they played them last week.
And obviously won that. Hosting Huntington, 2-1. Perennial powerhouse Huntington. Non-region game. Who's up here, Hoff?
Brandon.
Yeah, I think it's me. All right. So it's 4A against 1A, undefeated 4A against one loss 1A, but that one loss 1A is expected to be a state championship contender. I'm sorry, Huntington's 2A, but still expected to be a state championship contender. They've also, Huntington's offense is a two-headed monster. And considering some of the struggles that Crockett County's had lately, I mean, they escaped Northside with a win. They beat Ripley by 9 points. Defense played well against Lexington, but they allowed an offense that only got 13 yards the week before, score 6 points. And then honestly, I thought they would come close to having a running clock on Southside last week. They only beat them by 6, and they had to come back to do that. So I'm going to take Huntington in this one.
Huntington, 3-point loss to McKenzie to open it up. Looked good against Adamsville and Columbia Academy. They had that weird week 2 bye thing.
Right.
This thing is a good loss, but that's not a bad loss to McKenzie. McKenzie looks like the real deal. Gosh, I went to Crockett County. There's some things that they had that happened right before the season started. I didn't think that they would go 4-0, but they have. Tony picked against his alma mater. I'm going to pick against mine as well. Give me Huntington here. I think you're right, Brandon.
Yeah, the Mustangs all the way here. So, no doubt.
Think about it. You think for sure?
Yeah, Huntington's going to win this by 20 points.
Everybody going with Huntington. All right, this next game is I'm going to find a YouTube channel or Facebook site Friday, and this is the game I'm going to watch every single snap of. I'm as excited about this game as I was USJ Jackson Christian last week. Westview 4-0, scoring points and not giving up very many at all. Playing host to Dyer County. Looks completely unstoppable. Westview relatively untested up to this point. 64-0 win against Dresden, 78-0 win against Obion County, 7 win against Scotts Hill, and that game only went in one half, and then 65-6 last week against Liberty. Obviously, Dyer County is the best team that they've played. Dyer County comes in undefeated, 47-16 over Dyersburg, 54-14 over Trezevant out of Memphis, 22 over Union City, and 36-7 last week at Chester County. Man,
And you're up.
I know. I'm talking myself through this.
This is going to be a really good game.
Be a really good game. Westview has not been tested. They're going to be tested. They're catching some flack on some social media channels, by the way, too, which is ridiculous. I mean, the schedule is what it is. I didn't make it yesterday, right? Simpson looks like the real deal. Defense has played pretty well, although the competition hasn't been anything like what they're going to see. Heard really, really, really high praise about their coach. Chargers here. Give me the Chargers. I believe in Graham Simpson. Give me the Chargers.
This is a tough one. This will be worth the drive. I mean, are you going? What game?
I'm definitely going to the first half of South Gibson USJ.
Yeah.
And depending on what else is happening in Madison County, I may just stick around and watch that entire game.
Yeah. Well, if you wanted to see a good game, this would be one to go to. Unfortunately, it's a little far from where we live, but
and it doesn't involve a Madison County team.
I know, and you don't cover them. I understand what you mean. Yeah. I mean, you got a quarterback who's throwing touchdown passes like, we haven't seen around here from a true freshman that I can ever remember at all. Yeah. So, I mean, and then Dyer County, week 1, we were like, yeah, Dyersburg is going to take care of them. And they came out and just smoked Dyersburg like they were like, so I mean, I'd love to pick Dyer County here. But I just can't pick against this Westview team. I mean, they're on fire. It's like Ole Miss video game football. It's Tennessee or Ole Miss, and is what they play like. Just like this week, Tennessee, Oklahoma. I'd roll my money on Tennessee. It's kind of a similar matchup in some ways. So if you were to compare it to a college game, I'm going Westview.
Dyer County's average score of 44.25 to 14.75 looks really impressive until you look at Westview's average score of 69.25 to 3.25. But, like as was referenced earlier, Westview has the absolute worst opponents winning strength of schedule, opponents winning percentage. I mean, Dyer County's isn't worth writing home about at 333, but Westview's is 0.067, 1-14 among the 4 teams they've beaten so far. By far the worst. The second place one is West Carroll with a 214 percentage. I'm not going to say I'm necessarily a doubter of Westview. I'm just not sure if they live up to the hype when it's time to live up to the hype. So I'm going to say that Dyer County's defense is good enough that if they punch Westview in the mouth early, they're going to throw them off their game. And I'm not going to say it may throw Graham Simpson off his game, but it may throw a couple of their receivers off their game and give him considerably fewer options to throw to for the rest of the game. Choctaws knock the Chargers off their perch.
Going to find a way to watch that game, and if you know of it, I mean, every game's recorded and on either Facebook or YouTube now. I got to find that game this week because it looks like it'll be a lot of fun. Memphis Business Academy staying in the non-region games this week, 2-1, going to Lexington, a 1-3 Lexington team. Like here.
When we picked this game earlier this year, I was like, what's Memphis Business Academy? And I'm thankful for Brandon for explaining me a little bit about what this team's about. And I think it was Haywood, and they played Haywood tough. I believe Haywood won by a field goal in that game. Wasn't that right? It wasn't like 40. It was a high score.
I think
they beat them like 45 to 35 or something like that.
Okay.
But it
was one score.
It was competitive, but yeah, more than one score.
Yeah. It's a tough one. Lexington's shown some fight. I don't know how good they are. I mean, they don't have too many quality wins. So I'm gonna go. It's getting late. I'm gonna go with Memphis Business Academy. No more talky talk.
Yeah, I'm going with MBA too because I saw Lexington last week, and apparently they played a lot better offensively in the second half last week and tried to mount a comeback. But I mean, NBA is good enough to beat Hardin County as bad as they did. I forget who else they beaten, and Lexington offensively is not finding any footing, and I think this is going to be another tough game for them. So yeah, Tigers going down.
It's too much power. It takes a minute to put in that offense. I mean, he throws the ball. Most time in West Tennessee high school football, you don't see it unless you're got somebody like a Graham Simpson or Ty Simpson or something like that. This is NBA too. NBA did get him pulled back up here. This business, they did lose to Haywood 6-6. So that game wasn't that close.
So maybe we're thinking of Pure Academy and Haywood. That's
Pure
probably what we're doing.
Was the one that opened up with Haywood week 1. Yeah, that was the confusion there. This is Memphis Business Academy here. I think they get 3 wins. All right, final game of the evening. It breaks my heart to pick this game. I want both teams to win the state this year. 4-0 coming off that huge win. Noah Spencer. I mean, if he's not on the short list for Mr. Football and Division II play, I don't know who is. Going to South Gibson, 3-1. USJ undefeated on this, going in to South Gibson. Brandon, I think you're up. Who do you like here?
Hold on, I'm looking at the numbers. All right, so South Gibson is averaging 26.25 points scored per game and allowing 18.75. USJ is scoring 41.5 and allowing 17.25. And both of their opponents' winning percentages, USJ is 8-8, even 500. South Gibson is a tick under 500 at 7-8. So pretty close to an even matchup. And I know I'm 4 behind in the picks contest for the season. 3 of those I've lost 3 times picking USJ to lose. So I blame the Bruins. But you know what? They enjoy it every time I pick against them. I've been impressed a couple of times with South Gibson, what I've seen in the first half of their games, particularly the Hardin County game. I was impressed with the way that they played with Milan in week 1. Yeah, give me the Hornets. Going to fly with the Hornets. They're going to sting the Bruins. And let me give you one actual football reason why I could see that happening. Yeah, Tony, you weren't there at that game last week, were you?
In the rain?
Right.
No, sir. I was
Well,
not. I did watch on my phone, though. I was
All right.
watching the movies, the Twister movie, watching it on my phone.
All right. So if you watch the post game, they treated that game like they won the state championship because they played hard like they were in the state championship. I think next week is when they start playing region games. They may be thinking about the actual goals that they have for region, and they erased a 41-0 loss last year, but by doubling up their crosstown rivals this past week, this could be a trap game for them, for USJ. So I'm going to take the Hornets in this one.
I don't think this is a trap game for USJ. I feel what you're saying, and they were very emotional after that win and in the rain and how good they looked offensively and defensively. Spencer is something special. I mean, he got a little banged up last week a couple of times, still came in, but when he wasn't in, the Pew kid ran the ball hard. USJ plays very good defense. South Gibson though. But I've got to go Bruins. Every time I pick them, they win. I'm going Bruins.
But yeah, they picked them every time out. They've won every time I picked them to win too. That's what undefeated teams do.
Opposite ends of that.
So this is a good game. Another one that would be worth attending. I think on our list. You know, I was watching, like I said, the Twister movie, and I checked in on it, and it was like 19-7 at halftime. I didn't really catch much of the first half, but they kind of rolled away with it in the second half. I know Noah Spencer and Steve Beverly reported that he had 300 plus yards rushing, and then he took a kneel down and dropped it below 300. So anytime you have 3
in the air.
Yeah. He had how many? 150 in receiving too?
No, 60.
60. Okay. Well, anybody that can rush for 300 yards is incredible at any level. I don't care what football you're at. I mean, that's incredible. USJ is on a mission this year, I think. I mean, last year, I think they were quite disappointed in their record. They're certainly disappointed in losing to Jackson Christian the way they did. That's why I think they won last week. I do think that you're probably right, and Brandon, that they may overlook this game a little bit, but I think that coaching staff is just going to keep their heads on straight. I don't think it'll be a problem. That they're going to win this game. I'd say 28-21. It's going to be a good game, but I think the Bruins win.
Folks, there you go. 5 of it. That's some nice disagreements. So somebody, there will definitely be some movement this week amongst the games. 15 games, really good games this week, Brandon. You did a very good job selecting them. I highlighted the ones I felt really confident about to start it. There was only 6 of the 15 that I felt, okay, I've seen these teams play enough. I feel confident enough to pick these without really looking at records and stuff. So good job this week. Should be fun.
Yeah, well, most of the time it is. I'm just hoping this week that it stays dry, because when it starts raining and my phone gets wet, it's hard for me to keep the Madison County football scoreboard that I have up on the Post Facebook page updated. But if it stays dry, that'll stay updated a little better this week.
Up to, and I'll put this in the comment thing. We're up to 87 now. 87 entries into the big screen giveaway, courtesy of Southeastern Termite and Pest Control and Tony Neoff Remax Realty Source. Now we've had a couple of people that are submitting every week. I do pay attention to that. You can't submit every week. You can only pick once on which host you want to ride with. But it's no problem. I keep everything written down, so no big deal. I'm just sure you want to make sure you get your name in there, and I don't blame you a bit. All right, so for week 5, these are our picks. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds great, guys.
All
Peace
right.
out.
Thank you, sir.